hold on, let Eclipse open up. I just yeah. So object-oriented programming is really important. Okay, it is the backbone of uh, the process of learning Selenium. Right. So many of you might be knowing this, so you'll have to bear with me, but let's start with it. The concept of objects in any programming language, not just Java, like what objects are and how they help us. Right. So I've made this project day 2, and this is the source folder. And inside a source folder, let me just create a new class known as city.java. So I will not create the main function in this. Okay, if the class is not having a main function, it cannot be executed. Yesterday we made this basics.java. It had the main function, so it's easy to execute it, right? You just need to click on this run button and it'll run. So main function is the starting point, right? You see that the browser was opening. Okay. So, but this city class has got no main function. It's a standalone class. It cannot be executed. But in this class, I'll declare a variable known as name, which is actually represents the name of the city. Okay. So now this is a city class which has a parameter known as name, right? So what we'll do is
Ashish,
that we'll create something known as the object of this class, and we'll see what's the relevance and how the object it helps us, right? So I'll
Ashish, sorry
create
to
a new
interrupt.
class over here, say test city with the main function. So I've created another class which has the main function, and this since this class is having the main function, it can be executed. Right. So I'll create object of city class out here. Okay. I'll write over here new city. So once you give this command new city, okay, automatically the object of city class is created in the memory. And what happens? Okay, when you create the object of the city class, what actually happens is that in the memory, a memory location is allocated, and the variable name is inside that memory location, the object. So this is the object which is created, and the name variable, it is actually associated with the object. Okay, but you cannot access this object. Access this object, you need to create one object reference. Okay, so you'll have to write city C equals to, or C1, say whatever name you want to give.
Ashish,
Right. So
sorry to
C1
interrupt.
becomes the object or reference of the object city. So basically, C1, it is like a reference which points towards the object. With C1, you can access the state of the object. So C1 is not the object. Please note this. C1 is known as the object reference, which points towards this is the object. Okay, so similarly, we can make city C2 equals to new city, another object. So when you write this, then again an object is created in the memory. There is object reference which points towards that object. The object reference is known as C2,
Hello,
and
Ashish.
it's got a name.
Hello, hello.
right? And similarly, you can create another object to which C3 will be pointing.
Hi Ashish, can you hear
You can
us?
create as many objects want, right? And
Hello, Ashish.
yes, yeah, you can actually message me here. Hold on, somebody is on the chat with me. Someone wants to say and looks like you cannot hear. I started
Yes.
object-oriented programming. I started object-oriented programming. Oops. Okay, what are objects? How objects are used? Okay, so we are seeing how object creation is done. So you can create one more object, C3, is to new city. Okay, right. So, no, Rupa, I cannot hear you. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not able to hear you or all the other guys.
All
We
the
can
other
hear
ways
us.
you're not able to hear your voice.
No, I'm able to hear you clearly. I'm able to hear you. Maybe Rupa, you have some issue with the microphone, I guess.
No, 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 I don't have any problem.
Ashish,
Like everyone is calling
Yeah, I
you.
can hear you now. You need to unmute yourself and then talk. Okay, there is
Ashish,
only
I think like Satya and everyone is calling you, but like you're like continuing. So you're not able to hear us. So it's not
no,
me.
in order to speak, you need to unmute yourself. Maybe they did not unmute themselves.
no, when
Okay,
she's talking, we were able to hear, but you are not responding, Ashish.
That's
that's
why we are
okay.
calling.
Okay. Okay. I think there might be some temporary issue or something, but I was not able to hear. Okay. So, can you increase the font? Yes, I can certainly do that. I'll increase the font by one more tick. I hope it's good now. Right. So, I have created three objects of city class over here. Fine. And all the three objects are having three object references C1, C2, C3. Okay, with C1 I can access the object. I can write C1 dot. You will see the parameter name coming up. Okay, I can give the name to this city. So what happens in the memory is that this name value becomes equal to London. And with the help of with the next object C2, I can give this object a name, and I can give C3 also uh, any name, right? Say
Hyderabad.
or anything, right? So you can give any object any name, and these names will be like out here. They can be right. But if you observe carefully, there is just one city class with one name parameter. But if you create multiple objects of this class, each object can have its own name. I can also give an integer that what is the population of the city. Okay, so you can give population is say some number, right? Okay, so this population parameter will now be in every particular object and it can be initialized from here. Okay, if I print c1 dot name, c2 dot name and c3 dot name, you see it's printing London, Delhi and Lahore, right? And similarly you can print the population as well, right? So this is the thing. So basically in the object you can have the parameters of the class. This is the class city. If I have a function print details in which I will print the name and the city of the object. So this name and the population of the object, sorry. So this print details is a function. Technically, this variable is known as global non-static variable. What is static? I will tell you in some time. Okay. Technically, this variable is also known as a global non-static variable. This function is known as a non-static function. Double slash means a comment in Java. You can comment and write something in the code for your own understanding. Right. So print details becomes a function which is the part of every object. A. And print details function is printing the name and the population of the object. Okay. If I write over here C1 dot, you will see the function print details coming up. Okay. C2 dot print details. C3 dot print details. So you can have the three functions coming up C1 dot print details, C2 dot print details, and C3 dot print details. The print details function is present in all the three objects, and when C1 calls the print details, it will print the name and population for C1. When C2 calls print details, it will print the name and population for C2. Right? So if you are running this, you will see that these three lines are coming because of these three commands over here, and when the print details function is called, prints the name and the population of the respective object. Okay, right. So this is what an object is. Now, object is different and object reference is different. C1, C2, C3 are the object references. If I write like this, C1 equals to C2. So what will happen in the memory is that C1 will stop pointing here and C1 will point towards the same object to which C2 is pointing. Okay, if I just print like a demarcating line and I print these three commands c1 dot print details, c2 dot print details, and c3 dot print details, I give the commands again. And if I run this, you will see that the difference is, you see that for both these values, c1 dot print details, it is printing Delhi because c1 and c2 are pointing towards the same object. Okay. Now, if you understand, then the object is different and the object reference is different. Object reference can point towards any object. Okay. And each object can be initialized, can be changed with the help of object reference. Now, uh, suppose there is a property, say int number of pairs. That is the number of mayors the city is having. Okay, now when we initialize this property, so because we have given it over here, this property number of mayors would be there in every object. Okay, so when we initialize this, we can initialize like c1 dot number of mayors is 1 and c2 dot number of mayors are 1 and C3 dot number of pairs are also equal to 1. So this property will become same and yeah, anybody with any questions? Is somebody trying to say something? Your voice is very low if you're trying to speak. Okay. So, all right. Now, yeah, where was I? Right. Yeah, number of mayors. This property is actually same for all the objects. So it doesn't make sense initialize this property or this variable for every object. I'm initializing this variable for every object. I'm having this variable in every object. And it really doesn't make sense to have this variable in every object. Okay, because the value of this variable is same. Fine. So, how do we manage this? Right. I hope you are getting my point. So what we do is that we make this variable static. We make this variable static. So if you make something static, it will not be the part of the object. So this number of mayors property will be removed from every object. And this property would go somewhere in the memory location, which you can say is common for all the objects. Okay, so this will be accessible to all the objects, but it's common for all the objects. Okay, you can initialize this property, right? If you go here, you will see a yellow line over here, C1 dot number of mayors. It's a warning sign, yellow line. That this basically means, the warning basically means that this variable is static. It's not the part of the object. Don't try to use it with the object reference. Okay, if something is static, you should not use it with object reference. It's the right way is that you use it with the class name. City dot, you will see number of mayors are one. You can access the static parameters with the class name directly. But for the non-static parameters of the class, you will have to create the object of the class to access them. I hope you are able to understand this. Right? Okay. So similarly, this function is known as a global, sorry, this variable, static variable. So variables in a class can be of two types. One are static variables and one are non-static and one are static variables. Static variables are the ones which have the keyword static in front of them and they will not be the part of the object. Okay. Similarly, you can have static functions as well. Okay. Say if I print over here, total mayors are and the variable number of. So this print mayor function will it's static. So it will be at the common memory location, which is accessible to all the objects since it is static. So this function is a static function. So there's a non-static function and a static function and non-static variable and a static variable. Non-static stuff can be accessed with the object. Static can be accessed directly with the class name. Maybe I can just write over here city dot print mayor. This static function I can directly access, and when I run this, it actually prints that total mayors are ones. So this is being called from the print mayor function. Okay, I hope you are getting my point, and if you have any questions, you're free to ask me. You can unmute yourself and you can ask.
Why you
All
are
right.
writing this in two classes, Ashish?
Yeah, I was about to ask that.
I am just writing this in two classes to make you understand in a better way. I can also create the main function. This main function, I can copy this in city class as well. So city class will be a kind of fun class which can be executed on its own, but I deliberately did not do it. Make things simple. Okay, if I have the test city class, this is something like a client class which can be executed. That's the only reason, nothing else. Otherwise, you
Okay,
can
is
do
there
it in
any
this.
relation between those two when you are giving something in city, how it is coming to test the city?
It automatically detects. Java automatically detects the class.
Okay.
Okay, this city class, it will automatically detect it. Okay, so you don't
Okay.
have to worry
Uh,
about that.
Hello, Ashish. Can you please explain again about the difference between static and non-static methods or the functions you can?
The only difference is static, it is not the part of the object. If I'm creating an object, if I'm writing new city, then in this object, only the non-static things of the class will come up. Only name, population, print details. These are three non-static stuff. They will come up. Okay,
Okay.
and I can initialize the variables and all for every object separately. But if something is static, it will go at a common memory location for all the objects, and it can directly be accessed with the class name. Okay, right.
Okay, so
Few
there is no
things.
need of creating objects, right, for
There is no need
initializing.
of creating objects. Yes, for static, you can directly access without creating of object. But for non-static, you
You
will
need to
have to
explicit.
create the object.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, you will have to create the object of the class for because obviously non-static is something which is there for every object separately. So you will have to create the object.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Now the last rule, the most important rule is static functions cannot access non-static stuff. I'll just write stuff over here. Whether it is function or a variable, anything. Now, what do you mean by this? I will give you exercises today. I'll give you few multiple choice questions to solve. When you watch this video and solve those questions, you will get a better insight because once you do it yourself, you actually learn in a very different way. Okay, so after the training, I'm going to give you some multiple choice questions to solve in your free time. After watching the videos, you can do that. Right. So, what do you mean by static functions cannot access non-static stuff? If I write over here inside this function, name equals to z, I'll get an error. Print mayor is a static function. Whose name are you trying to access in this function? There can be any number of objects. You really don't know which object's name are you trying to access. Okay, right. I can write name equals to z over here because print details function is non-static. If this print details function is called for the first object, then the name for the first object will become z. Okay, so static functions cannot access the sorry, the non-static variables. Okay, similarly, you cannot call the print details function even over here. Which object's print details function are you trying to call? Okay, but the opposite is true. You can access this is you can access static from non-static. Okay, I'll write it in a simpler way. You cannot access non-static from static. This is static. I cannot call non-static stuff over here. I'll comment this. But if this is non-static, I can write over here print mayor function. I will not get an error or something. The opposite is true. Okay, so this is a very minor thing. Obviously, if you go for an interview in Selenium, there are hardly any chances that anybody will ask you question on this. But you should be knowing these things because when you are writing code, at times I've seen people trying to access non-static from static and then they get an error and then they say that there is some problem and I'm not able to resolve it. Okay, so you have to be a little careful with this. But in Selenium, we hardly use anything static. Almost everything which you will be using 99% of the times would be non-static stuff. Okay, uh, what's the reason for that? The reason is very simple. Everything in Selenium is inbuilt. I told you yesterday. The commands are inbuilt. Okay, this is day two, and I told you yesterday how you can import the Selenium jar files. Okay, so I'll import the jar files in the next project. In every project you build, new project, you will have to import the Selenium jar files. Now, as I told you that I'll be teaching you the concepts of Java and Selenium parallelly. I have told you about object-oriented programming and we saw how few objects can be created. Right. Now, what we will do is that we will, you can say, we will see how these objects can be used in Selenium. So everything in Selenium is inbuilt. Okay. So if I create a new class over here, Selenium Basics, right? And if I create the object of a simple class like Firefox driver, which I did yesterday as well. So I'm creating the object of an internal class in Selenium, which is Firefox driver. Okay, and when I run this, you will get an error while running this. Okay, I won't get an error. I'll tell you the reason in some time. So you will see that a blank Firefox browser has opened. So just by creating the object of this internal class Firefox driver, I was able to open a blank Firefox. Okay, it's quite simple, and the only thing is that it's simple because everything the Selenium guys are giving you ready-made. You just need to create the objects of the internal classes and use it.
Ashish,
Okay,
we can use the Chrome browser also, right? In the place of
yes,
Fire browser.
there
Can
is a
you?
class known as Chrome driver.
Yeah, Chrome browser.
Create the object of this and you can use Chrome driver. If you look at the documentation, okay, go to the download section on the Selenium website and go to the API docs over here. Okay, this is the documentation. Switch to the frames view. So these are all the inbuilt classes in Selenium, which you can use. Okay, and if you scroll down, you will see something known as WebDriver written. Okay, you click on this and all the implementing classes, you will see that these are the inbuilt driver classes. Each for each browser, we have an inbuilt driver class. These are inbuilt. Like I made the city class, right? I had made this city class and I was creating the object of the city class in test city. In Selenium, the city class is inbuilt. It is known as the driver class and there are different driver classes. You have one class known as Chrome driver, which is for Chrome. Okay, Edge driver is for Edge. Firefox driver is, as the name suggests, for Firefox. Internet Explorer driver. You have Safari driver. This is unstable, not so good. Okay, so for every browser, we have a driver class whose object we need to create. and we can actually um, run that particular browser. Okay, but as a beginner, you will also have to. I'll go to the Selenium website, go to download section. You will have to download few exes. So these are the browsers which are supported by Selenium, right? So this is the Chrome browser, right? And in my PC, if I'm just creating the object of Chrome driver class, I can see that okay, so it fails. So at times Chrome crashes because of some reasons which I'll tell you right now. Okay. So for Chrome, if you go to the browser section and you will see a documentation in this documentation, and for Chrome, you will have to first of all uh, go to the uh, about Google Chrome section and check your version. Okay, and then open the Selenium website, go to the documentation of Chrome driver, right? And there is a exe which you need to download. This exe is not the Chrome exe, but this is a exe which helps you to automate Chrome. So the Chrome guys, they have given this exe. Okay. And Selenium uses that. The version, okay, my Chrome is updating. Hold on. Just hold on. Because the version will change after the update. I will get that version. 5249.10. So you see your Chrome version. You launch the Chrome browser. So my version is 107.0.5304.107. Okay. So this version is somewhere near this stable version. Okay. Or all the versions are available in downloads link as well. You can open this downloads link. My version is 5304.107. This is the nearest one. Okay. You click on this link and you will see different zip files. Each zip file will have an exe. You download it for your operating system. I'll download it for mine, Windows 32-bit. Okay. And you keep this exe. This is the exe. I'll keep this in B drive. I'll make a folder known as drivers, and I'll put the exe over here and extract it. So this is the Chrome driver exe. Don't run it. You will not get anything by running it. You copy the path, and in Java you give the command system dot set property. System is an internal class in Java, inbuilt, and set property is a static function inside it. Okay, this is a static function which can be accessed directly with the class name. Okay, and you can set some system properties. We need to set a system property known as webdriver.chrome.driver and give the path of exe. Chrome driver.exe. So Chrome driver.exe is out here. make sure you give the right command. Sometimes people give W capital. Java is case sensitive language. Be very careful. WebDriver, this is a system property which you need to set. Basically, you are telling Selenium that this is the location where Chrome driver exe is lying. Chrome driver exe is provided by the Google guys, and it has got some capabilities with which you can automate Chrome. So Selenium needs that exe. Without that exe, it cannot automate Chrome. Okay. So if you do this and if you run this, you will see that a blank Chrome browser opens up in your PC, and you'll see a message that Chrome driver was started successfully. At times, what happens is that the version of your Chrome changes. Maybe there is an update or something, and then you get the error at the startup, and then you automatically should understand that the Chrome version has updated. For every Chrome version, these guys they actually build the exe. Okay, and you need to get the right exe, create the object of the internal class Chrome driver. Create the object like this. Now this is an internal class. Okay, and when you create the object of this class, you will have, if you write Chrome driver dot, you will see so many functions. A function like close, which automatically says that close the browser, and there are many other functions. These all are non-static functions in the Chrome driver class. Okay, they can be accessed with the object of Chrome driver class. One of the functions is the get function. Like we had the city class and we were creating the object of the city class and we were accessing the variables and calling the function like print details. So you have the Chrome driver class and you can call the functions of the Chrome driver class. Get, in this you can say, you can put the URL. Right, and when you run this, you will see that it goes to BBC. Right. Okay, make sure you give the protocol. If you're not giving this HTTP over here, it will not work. All right. Make sure you give the protocol and then you can write many other commands. I'll tell you later on, but there are many inbuilt things which you'll have to learn. And that's what I told you. Learning Selenium is not a rocket science or something. You don't need to invent anything. Everything is inbuilt. You need to understand the commands. Right. Similarly, for Firefox, you are in case of Firefox, you visit the Selenium website, go to the download section, and in the browsers section, you will see that Firefox written over here. Click on the documentation and you go to the Gecko driver releases link and you download the exe for your operating system. For mine, Windows 64-bit, this is the one. So you download this and I'll put this in the drivers folder only. Right, and you extract it, you will get the Gecko driver exe and you give the command over here system dot set property webdriver dot Gecko dot driver and you give the path of the exe, that is Gecko driver dot exe. Okay, guys, just hold on. Someone is calling me, maybe from the office. Okay, just give me a minute. I'll be there. Just hold on. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry. Right. So I'll share my screen. So this is the Firefox driver, geckodriver.exe, and you then create, make sure you give this command correctly, otherwise this won't work. Okay. Firefox driver, you create the object of Firefox driver and you write Firefox driver.get, you keep http cnn.com. So I'll just comment these three lines, and when I run this, some error. So this error comes up at times because you'll have to make sure that your Chrome, sorry, the Firefox is updated. Okay, I did not update my Firefox. Let me update it because the exe is corresponding to the latest version of Chrome, sorry, Firefox. Look, the thing is, in Chrome, you cannot do anything. Chrome automatically updates itself. But for Firefox, I always keep this option checked in order to not let Firefox update itself automatically. Because what happens is, if the Firefox updates itself automatically, then the Chrome driver exe becomes sorry, the Firefox driver exe becomes obsolete, and you'll have to download the exe again. So choosing this option, you can prevent Firefox from updating itself. But in Chrome, you don't have that option. So please keep that checked. So I downloaded the latest exe, but I did not have the latest Firefox browser. So that's why I guess it gave me an error. So if I run this now, okay, it's giving me an error. That is okay, with the Gecko driver. Hold on. I think the older exe will work with it. If I comment this line, then it's working fine out here. All right. So, okay, I'll check out the reason. Right. This will not work perfectly fine with you if you comment this. Look, what happens is, whenever we write the code, we don't prefer to write these lines again and again. I'll check out the error with Firefox after the class. I don't want to go into it right now. Right. So, these lines, you can prevent yourself from writing these lines. Okay. It's very simple. You need to put the exes of the browsers at one location. Copy the location and put it in your system environment variables. In Mac, the process is different to put it in system environment variables. In Windows, it's little different. Okay, in Windows, you can just go to my PC, go to the properties, and you will see advanced system settings. Right, you click on this and you'll see a window like this, in which you'll see environment variables button. You go here and you create, or you'll see a path variable. Okay, double click on this path variable. Don't fiddle with it. Okay, because they contain some sensitive information, and you create a new variable and you give the path of the location where you have kept the exes. Okay, restart your PC, and then when you run this code, you will not have to give these lines. Automatically it will detect. See, if I uncomment this in my PC, if I don't give the path, and if I run this, this is, so try to launch. Yeah, this is it's failing because uh, the default path is set to some other location in my PC, and I deleted that location. Basically, I need to restart my PC now. Okay, so you'll also have to restart your PC, and then it will start working. Okay, now similarly, you have got other driver classes as well. You have got Edge driver, Safari driver is there. Okay, so as the name suggests, Edge driver is for Microsoft Edge. Okay, and if you go to the Selenium site, you will see that in the releases section, that's the page, the downloads, and in the browsers section, you will see Edge, and you go to the documentation and open your Edge on your PC and go to the settings, okay, or go to about Edge. So Edge is nothing. Edge is also Chrome basically. The basic underlying engine behind Edge is Chrome. So my Chromium engine, my version is 10701418.35. So you will have to, this is my version, you'll have to download the exe for your machine from here. Okay, and it's out here, Edge driver exe, you copy this. Always keep all the exes at one location and give that location in your system variables, right? And you'll have to give the command in your Java code, system dot set property webdriver, oh, webdriver dot edge dot driver, to the location of your edge driver exe. So the name is msh driver dot exe. So when you run this code, you will see that the edge has launched successfully, right? So you can give commands on edge as well. Okay, right. So you can write, say, edge driver dot get to any particular website. Fine. So you have got different driver classes. You have got Chrome driver, you have got Firefox driver, you have got Edge driver. So basically, does this mean that you will have to learn every driver class separately? That means that if I have to click on a link in Chrome and if I have to click on a link in Firefox or a link in Edge, will the commands be different or will it be same? Okay, so this thing you will be able to understand with the help of interfaces. Or what if I have to write a single script which works on multiple browsers? Okay, out here, if you have to write a script for Chrome, you will have to create object for Chrome driver. If you want to run a script for Firefox, then you'll have to create the object of Firefox driver. But what if I want to run a script which runs on all the drivers? So on all the browsers. So for that, you will have to understand the concept of interfaces in Java language. And that's the next thing in the training, which we are going to do. Okay. If you have any questions, you can please let me know.